Whenever we did something which he did not like, he would not say anything to us. He would go and tell mother, my daughter is doing this, my son is doing that. And mother always told him, they are not your children, they are my children. I went to mother and I said, Mother, I want to study Savitri. Shall I go to so and so? One, I named one of our senior teachers. Mother said, what? What does he understand? Then she told me, don't go to anybody. You read yourself. If you don't understand, it doesn't matter. Go on reading. If you overcome a physical fear, you automatically overcome a vital fear. You automatically overcome a mental fear.
Tara Didi is the chairperson of the Sri Aurobindo Ashram Delhi branch. What I love about her, on one hand, is her childlike nature, her humor, her playfulness. On the other hand, her action-oriented attitude, action which is consecrated for the mother's work. In this podcast, we will be having a conversation where we listen to some of her stories with the mother, some of her stories with Chachaji, the founder of the Sri Aurobindo Ashram Delhi branch, the founder of Mothers International School, her father, and learning about how does she manage to hold an ecosystem which is at once an ashram, an educational institute, as well as a center of deeply spiritual social work. With that, let us head to the podcast. Thank you, Tara Didi, for doing this. I'd like to begin with asking some of your greatest learnings, some of your greatest, most deepest experiences with Chachaji. One of the things I can share that I love about Chachaji when I read his book, I love how transparent he is. For instance, there is one story in the book where he talks about mother wearing gold rings. And he narrates that story where he asks the mother, Mother, why are you wearing so many rings? And she explains, this is occult significance, this was gifted by Sri Aurobindo, this is that significance. And he very transparently says, I was not at all receptive to what she was saying, I couldn't understand. And I love how he accepts in the book that I couldn't fully understand, but I was so much in love with her that I just surrendered. So I wanted to know from you some of your memories with Chachaji, some of your experiences, some of your learnings. What of him that you remember?
I remember only that once he came to mother, he totally surrendered. Whenever we did something which he did not like, he would not say anything to us. He would go and tell mother, my daughter is doing this, my son is doing that. And mother always told him, they are not your children, they are my children. So he was like an elder brother, like an elder friend with us. We had a lot of fun because of his sense of humor. He had a tremendous sense of humor. Towards the end, he got cataract in both eyes. One day, early in the morning, he had the habit of picking up the car and going early in the morning, even to meet the ministers. So the driver came running and told me, Didi, साहब गाड़ी लेके चले गए. I said, कहाँ गए? पता नहीं. And तो आप कहाँ थे? मैं बाथरूम गया था, उन्होंने बुलाया, मैं बाथरूम गया था, थोड़ी सी देर हो गई तो गाड़ी लेके चले गए. I said, अच्छा आने दो. When he came, then I scolded him. I said, Pitaji, the doctor has told you not to drive and you know that it is dangerous and you just take the car and you go away. You have no patience to wait for 10 minutes for the driver to come and you don't see a thing and you're driving like this. So dangerous. So he shouted back at me, who says I don't see a thing? I see much more than you. You see one road, I see two roads. So this is the kind of humor he had, and he immediately made the situation absolutely pleasant and I also started laughing.
Okay, my next question is I remember you were sharing two, three incidents from your time with the mother, which really touched me, and I want you to share a little bit more on those incidents, or maybe any other story with the mother. One, if I'm not wrong, you used to sleep in one of mother's class, and one day you confessed to the mother that, Mother, I have been sleeping in your class. And she says, it's good. That way I can work on you better. If you can share a little bit of some of those anecdotes with the mother that really touched you, that really moved you, that really stayed with you.
Want to do what we wanted, and mother encouraged that you do what you want to do, not what others want you to do. And sometimes we used to just bunk classes also. We were happy children. We had our childhood. Today's children don't have their childhood.
But still, any one anecdote, any incident, maybe something with your work on flowers with her.
I worked with her for the whole book, and she only insisted that she would not see pictures and write the commentary. It has to be a real flower. So the ashram gardeners started growing rare flowers, some even in refrigerators, so that they get that cold. And many new flowers were brought at that time. She would see the flower, communicate with the flower, and then give the significance. And today, when you see, she's so right, like the neem. She, she was not told that the neem is a sacred uh, tree of many communities. She called it spiritual atmosphere. Way back in the 20s, she gave the significance. And after that, now you discover how many qualities the neem has, which were not known at that time also. But then when you see the significance she has given, you realize that she had that power of communicating with the flower.
Just before, we met, you were sharing about the reading of the book Savitri, because a lot of people in Pugnam community, they paint Savitri. I want you to narrate what she said about Savitri.
So it was in the early 50s when the first volume, not volume, but the first chapter of Auroville was printed in a thin booklet. And it was like fire in the whole ashram. Everybody was reading, everybody was talking. We were children. I was hardly 14, 15 years old at that time. So everybody, we also started trying to read, but nothing, you could understand nothing of it. The very first sentence, it was the hour before the gods awake. Now, what does it mean to a 14? And we, our 14 and 15-year-old in those days is equal to 5 and 6 years old today. Really, because we had no radios, no cinemas, no nothing at all to see and get any. And we were only amongst a batch of school children. So everybody was reading Savitri, so we also said we want to understand. And everybody was finding who will explain. So I went to mother and I said, Mother, I want to study Savitri. Shall I go to so and so? One, I named one of our senior teachers and a senior sadhak in the ashram. Mother said, What? What does he understand? He doesn't understand that he can explain to you. Then she told me, Don't go to anybody. You read yourself. If you don't understand, it doesn't matter. Go on reading until something of it will slowly be understood. She explained to me that you can take a bowl and pour water into it, but the bowl will hold only that much as there is space. The rest will spill and go away. She said the human mind is like that. It has its own capacity. So Shobindo's teachings are so high and so wide that the human mind cannot really grasp everything. So, whoever explains to you or whoever tries to teach you, Savitri, can only teach you what he has understood, not what Shobindu wants to say. So, it is better that you read from the books and not to. So, since then, it has become like that. I don't listen to people's talks. I don't enjoy listening. And if I have to sit sometimes, I sit, but usually I go to sleep. And I don't listen to talks or I don't listen to people's explanation of mothers and Shobindu's teachings.
Next, I want to really know from you. I heard in the recent Sourcing Our Oneness also you did rappelling and you're 90.
I wasn't 90 then.
89?
No, 88.
88. But even 88, it is quite mind blowing. A lot of young people also don't do. And even when the first time, so I'll share a little bit of my backstory. When I was in school, it was a bit unfortunate that I never understood that sports is meant for girls. And I used to complete my homework in sports period. I used to do dance, but somehow I got an impression as a child that boys do sports, girls don't. It's only when I came to Sri Aurobindo that I understood, oh, so much of importance is being given to physical education, that it has to be a part of life and lifestyle. And now I really have to recalibrate and really have to bring that dimension in my life. So it was quite mind blowing for me to see the amount of importance mother gave to sports. And in some ways, she gave more importance to sports even over Hatha Yoga. So I want you to know, as somebody who's been a lifelong person, deeply into sports, deeply into trekking, deeply into physical education, what do you feel from your experience is the importance of physical education, particularly on the path of yoga? Even if one is not, on the path of yoga consciously, still, what is the deep importance of physical education?
I think we have the tendency of separating the body, the mind, the vital, and the spiritual all. But it is all together an integral part of every human being. Body is the pedestal on which you stand. If that is not healthy, all the rest also becomes unhealthy. Even when you are doing sports, you think it is only the body, it's not. It's the mind being affected, it's the vital being affected. If you overcome a physical fear, you automatically overcome a vital fear, you automatically overcome a mental fear. And when in life you're faced with these, if physically you have been able to overcome a fear, it becomes easier to overcome the mental and the vital and all these fears.
Would you like to give an example of how this happens, works from your own life or somebody's?
One girl came to me. She had a small child, and her husband was giving her a lot of problem. He was not giving her money to run the house properly, and the child was sick, and he was not giving money to her for. And so she was. Every day they were having fights. So she came. So I told her, I said, if you have the courage to leave your husband for a few days and teach him a lesson, it will be good. She said, okay. So I said, I'm going to Nainital, come with me. And she went with me, and then she did the rock climbing course, which we make all these rappelling and river crossing and all these things she did. And she was so afraid every time, but she overcame that fear. So when she came back to Delhi, her husband came and said, come back home. I told her, you tell him you're not returning. You're not, keep telling him you won't go back unless he obeys all your conditions. So that is what she did. In the end, he came and he apologized in front of me and then took her back. And after that, they're fine. Today, they're in Australia. The girl is gone. Their child is doing something big now.
Right.
And everything is going fine for so many years. This is what I'm talking is more than 25 years back.
Wow.
So when she overcame she herself said, अब मुझे डर नहीं लगता किसी से. Before she was afraid of everything. And then she was afraid of what her parents will say if she does this or does that. I said, if you're going to be afraid of these things, you will always be afraid. So you have to overcome the fear. At some place you overcome all the other fears, automatically you overcome.
This is very moving, very touching for me also. अपने तरीके से बताना in your own way. What is integral yoga for you? I'm not looking for an intellectual definition, but in your life for the last 82 plus years, you have been in touch with them. So what is it that you feel is integral yoga?
I still don't know what is integral yoga.
Right.
If I live another 100 years, I'll find out
You'll
and tell you.
find out. Right. Okay. I think that with that we can close.
Okay.
If you have questions that you would like to ask Tara Devi, please put them in the comments below. If there are speakers, sadhaks, on the path of integral yoga that you would like to see as speakers on this podcast, please share in the comments below. On every second Sunday of the month, we release a podcast with a deep and profound conversation with a sadhak walking the path of integral yoga. If you would like to be in touch with such conversations, please don't forget to subscribe Purnam Community.